Michelle with 2 L's.
And I'm Natalie the Red.
And we are Forcify Entertainment. And today we are here to do a kind of more a commentary video, something we used to do more of. But now, if you actually enjoy this type of content, we usually discuss this stuff on our live streams on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Or be square.
Yes, where we discuss all kinds of things like this. But this story that we are about to bring you, I think has and key word here, the potential to be an absolutely huge story in entertainment if it actually goes somewhere and it's actually pursued.
And you wouldn't think he'd just put this out here.
Well, it'd be more
without, the means, or well, we know he has the means, but I mean, intention to back up what he's saying.
Yes, right? Definitely. It'll be more if the two that we're about to get into team up and actually follow through with this. But yes, we're going to be covering something that Elon Musk tweeted out yesterday and who happened to respond to his tweet. We're going to get into that. And to cover this today, we are going to be bringing in
the special forces.
Yes, we are bringing in, he's been on the channel before, but it has been a while. And that is our brother, Michael, who is on YouTube as Awakened to Truth with Michael Smith. How are you, Michael?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing?
Good to have you on.
Thank you.
But yes, we're going to be, again, discussing this, what could be potentially a huge story in entertainment. So let's get started with how all of this actually got started yesterday. And that was, of course, and I want to say first off, with Elon Musk, there have been things that I really appreciate that he's done, even just the fact he bought Twitter to make it a free speech platform again and released the Twitter file showing how much it was not a free speech platform and how even government officials were controlling, we now know, both Twitter and Facebook, trying to suppress information they didn't like, which regardless of your politics, if you are an American, should be startling to you.
That's called cheating.
Well, yeah. It's called being authoritarian is what it is. And it's called going against what this nation was founded on, which is freedom of speech. So I do appreciate Elon. With that being said, at times he makes decisions like changing Twitter into X that I'm not that thrilled with. And the new logo that you see.
That really grinded Michelle's gears, if you know what I'm saying.
That you see. But I will have to say that I think this tweet, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I think this story alone is huge and is huge for all people. To me, I read this tweet, and we're about to read it, as for we the people. So let's
for the good of mankind, really.
Yeah. So let's look at it. Elon Musk yesterday said, if you were unfairly treated by your employer due to posting or liking something on this platform, we will fund your legal bill. No limit, period. Please let us know. And first off, and I'll let Natalie and Michael give their thoughts on this right after. I just think, again, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, if you're conservative, if you're on the left, on the right, in the middle, if you're part of the Green Party, what he is tweeting here is for all people. It applies to anyone who has been discriminated against based off of their political beliefs. So I believe that this is absolutely fantastic from Elon from the point of view of freedom of speech. Natalie and Michael?
I think it's fair and just, really.
It is. It's like justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the controversial part of it is that by and large, it is only viewpoints that are now considered maybe conservative or leaning conservative that have had this issue. Like if you're tweeting out extremely crazy left-wing things, you're not going to have any problems. So yeah. I think that is why somehow in this strange environment we're in, that something like this could be considered political, because it's by and large one political side, and not even one political side. I mean, like just for example, like a Robert Kennedy Jr. type of Democrat could get in trouble for his thoughts.
Yes.
But yet it's considered, almost like this is a right-wing thing, like, because, it's the right-wing viewpoints that are troublesome. But in reality, it's just viewpoints that aren't compatible with the far
narrative.
left wing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that is what Elon tweeted out last night. And someone happened to respond to Elon. Let's get that pulled up. Let's see if I can get this. There we go.
Miss Gina Carano.
Yes, Miss Gina Carano, who, of course, was ultimately let go, not renewed, from Lucasfilm back in kind of the it was early 2021 when Lucasfilm did not renew her contract. And for those of you big Star Wars fans, as I was too, that actually pretty much was kind of the end of the road for Lucasfilm in many ways, because Jon Favreau had already kind of made his own MCU universe with Star Wars that he had already plotted out and written multiple shows. When this decision was made, he had to do an about face and totally redo what he had already plotted. And even The Mandalorian season 3, I believe, did not go as well as it would have because of everything Jon Favreau had to redo. But here is Gina Carano putting there, I think I qualify. And that's what we're going to get into, the potential.
I would say she does, yeah.
I would say she does too. The potential of, could Elon Musk and Gina Carano team up to go against Lucasfilm and present a lawsuit against Disney Lucasfilm for basically not only just terminating her contract, but what Disney did to Gina, and they even used the words, I remember, abhorrent, about her tweet that was actually just about people coming against people with different political views, the irony of that.
Having individual thought.
Yes. But she was immediately let go. I mean, she was blacklisted from Hollywood. She was forced out. Her agent immediately let her go, dropped her, and she was blacklisted from Hollywood because of tweets that, if you really observe everyone, they just were not an issue here. So Michael, what are your thoughts? One, do you think Gina has a legit case that her and Elon could go against Lucasfilm, who definitely fired her for Twitter and Instagram post?
I mean, yeah, I would think so. I think, I'm not obviously a legal expert, but I think that there would certainly be a case there. I think the question is, how would they approach it? Like, are they going to go for damages? Are they going to go for, lost income and wages from this? Are they going to go for defamation, or all of the above? I mean, I definitely think that there's a path there, that if you tried it in a court of law, you could not reasonably say that she was being abhorrent or worthy of being fired and blacklisted because of the view that she expressed. So, I mean, yes, I definitely think there's a case. But I think that, the attorneys need to figure out what angle they would attack to try and win.
Yeah, I think it could be a loss of income. I mean, when you pretty much get blackballed out of the career you're in.
Well, and I mean, the thing of it is, like, she got to do a movie with like Ben Shapiro's group. Like, that's not that fantastic. I mean, I'm glad she got that work, but I don't know. Doing movies for Ben Shapiro to me is almost kind of just like a waste of time, because even if I want to see the movie, I'm not paying Ben $100 just to watch the movie, because I don't want the rest of his content, So she certainly is still impacted by the decision that Disney made. Yeah.
Absolutely impacted. I mean, it wasn't just Disney she lost out on. The way it was done, she was blacklisted from all of Hollywood. And I think, even defamation, because of how Disney or Lucasfilm put out that initial post about her being abhorrent and the way they addressed her. I mean, guys,
Defamation.
Defamation. There was literally an ex-senator, a United States senator, who went on Bill Maher's channel and called her a Nazi publicly. I mean, she has been defamed so hardcore, and the amount of hatred that she has received online because of Disney's statement Lucasfilm's statement that they released is just been insane. And I definitely believe there is a case. And what I'm so interested with, guys, is if they do team up, what does that mean for Lucasfilm? That's going to be interesting because
what does it mean for Disney as a whole?
Yes, because as our friends WDW Pro and Valiant have been putting videos out on the DEI situation of how Disney has pretty much become a hostile environment for anyone who does not expose or have their viewpoints. And you also have Disney in a situation of they've lost $1 billion because of the failure of the Galactic Star Cruise Hotel. And then also $1 billion loss in movies this year. So what does it mean for Lucasfilm, who's already reeling after the horrible, horrible failure of Indiana Jones 5, to then have a lawsuit come against them? I think it's honestly time for them to strike, honestly, because
the iron is hot, my friend.
Yes, Lucasfilm decided to make an example out of Gina Carano, and we can now say totally, and this is an accurate statement, that her co-stars did not agree with what was done to her. That's why, as you've heard, if you've heard Jay, Drunk 3PO, he's discussed how when Gina was doing the fan expos, that the Mandalorian cast wanted to come talk and spend time with her, because everyone knows what, let's be real, Kathleen Kennedy did was wrong. And even down to, we know from Gina herself.
Like, this isn't even a left-right issue.
No.
That's really the point we're getting to. It's wrong either way.
It's wrong. They wanted her to go through struggle sessions so they could brainwash her into believing what they believe. And this type of behavior just really does not, it should not exist in the United States of America, the land of the free.
This is an American issue, really.
It is an American issue, and it's just unacceptable what was done to Gina. And I personally hope that Gina and Elon and the lawyers can figure out a way to go after Lucasfilm, because again, they wanted to make an example out of her. It would be funny, it would be ironic if somehow they end up being able to make an example out of them. But Michael, Natalie, what are you guys' thoughts?
You take it, Michael.
Well, I think that this might sound kind of like a strong statement, but Disney is a communist organization at this point.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Yes, of course, they're still capitalistic because they, want to make money, but in the sense of kind of, yeah. I mean, they're not, that's not their main concern anymore. Their main concern is getting across their message at whatever cost and at whoever it hurts. And if you are not in favor of that message, that's where their behavior becomes very similar to a communist type of ideology. That like you're out, you are smeared. The public campaign to paint you as evil and as an enemy is full go. And
like socially murdered.
Even like you said, the struggle sessions, that's an old Soviet Russian technique where we're going to go through this with you, and by the time we're done, you're going to acquiesce that we're right, you were wrong, you're going to apologize, and if you do everything we tell you exactly as we tell you and do not falter a bit and never get out of line again, you're welcome back in.
What does that sound like?
Well, absolutely. And I want to bring up, I can already hear someone in the comments saying, but they're a business. They can fire people if they want, if they don't align with them. Okay, that's fine. If Gina was coming in on Disney's time and money, and she was at let's say she was at a Mandalorian event and she was making political statements at the event, That's different because that's on their dime, their time. And any business has the right to say, don't do political stuff during work hours. But this was not that. This was her simply tweeting on her free time during a lot of it during the quarantine in 2020. And Disney simply not agreeing with what she said and firing her as a result. And that is something that really companies don't have the right to do. That is kind of political. That's a political discrimination, quite frankly.
But let's say they even have the right to fire her. Like it's a free country. They're a private. Well, they're not private. They're public. They're a public company. And let's say that, okay, we disagree with this and we don't want you around anymore. You can fire someone, I guess, but that's not what they did.
Yeah.
They defamed her. They did a public campaign to twist the context of what she said and try and turn it into something else for the purpose of validating what they did.
Absolutely. Yes.
So there's a big difference between that and just, well, we don't see eye to eye in our beliefs, so we're going to part ways and that's it. Nothing else said.
Yes.
That's not what happened, because they knew that there would be questions about parting ways. So they decided, among maybe multiple strategies that they could have taken, they decided that their strategy was going to be a public defamation strategy against her.
Yes, and it is also worth noting, people, that Disney is not a company who can claim they don't like to be political, because they have openly been very political. Of course, we had the whole thing that went on with Disney, is still going on with Disney versus Ron DeSantis. So this is not a company who can claim they don't like to ever get political. This is a company who
That
loves.
They don't show partiality because clearly overall they do.
This is a company who loves to get political. They sent out the Avengers. In fact, people got mad at Chris Pratt for not showing up in 2020 to a Biden campaign as the Avengers. So they enjoy,
which is dumb. First of all,
it's really stupid. But this is a company who's openly very political. And guess what? When you choose as a company to get political, it kind of goes back to the old statement that Michael Jordan made of, well, Republican buy sneakers too. And Disney has been finding out the hard way that, well, Republicans buy sneakers. Republicans watch movies too, is what they've been. And Republicans go to the park too.
They're just like us.
Well, and heavily weighted Republicans, conservative independents, or more middle of the road leaning Democrats are the vast majority of sports fans, and their politicization of ESPN is now destroying that brand. That brand is so badly damaged that Bob Iger is now floating the idea of dropping ESPN as a cable channel and turning it into strictly a streaming service as a way to try and keep it solvent, because it's hemorrhaging so much money because of how many people have unplugged from cable. People that one of the main reasons they had cable was to watch ESPN sports, and they're so sick of ESPN and their politics that they push into sports that they're unplugging, and the viewership on ESPN is down unbelievably, and they're having to fire all of their talent to try and make up for all of these losses that they're having. And it's just a mess. Disney is King Midas in reverse. Everything they touch turns to crap. And it's quite funny to watch, but they still have an incredible amount of power in spite of that, because they just have such a vast balance sheet of income and assets and various things that they own. So I think it would be good for Elon and somebody else with vast assets to back a high profile case like this and let it all come out. Let's get to discovery and get down to the bottom of how this actually happened and what was actually going on in the background during all of this.
And in my personal negotiations, if I'm Gina, a requirement is going to be a retraction and an apology from Lucasfilm.
Right.
That would absolutely be part of what I was asking for. But Natalie, any thoughts on this?
Gosh, I'm at a blank. I mean, I overall just think if we're discussing the tweet itself and, the implications of that, I think it's a great thing. And, like I said, for both sides, like, because, we want to practice what we preach. And if far leftists can share their views on Twitter, then, the opposite of that should also be able to share their views on Twitter, barring people calling for actual
physical
violence on
yeah.
another, for sure. Obviously, that's not okay on any side. But yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. So, Michael, any final thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think that this is an important battle because while people will maybe try and say, well, it's okay, I don't agree with their politics, but they are a private business and this is America and you can do what you want. But that's not exactly what's going on here, because we now have a Democratic candidate for the president of the United States who is not in lockstep with the government message, which is actually also the Disney message and the big corporate message that all of the big corporations are trying to push. And he is being censored. On the other side, we have a Republican candidate for the president of the United States, the leading Republican candidate, who is being politically persecuted with indictment after indictment after indictment after indictment. So when you connect the dots here, that the message of the state and the message of Disney and some of these other big corporations are the same, and you have to stay in lockstep with that message to stay in their good graces. We're not dealing with private business. We're dealing with the beginning stages of a merge between capitalism and the state and a Chinese type of system of state capitalism, where the capitalistic endeavors are in complete lockstep with the desires of the state. And in that, there is some form of capitalism, but there is no freedom. And that's where we're headed if we don't have a turnaround. And maybe, I think it's probably just one stone against a massive wall, but maybe this could be another little piece along the way of being able to fight back against that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Excellent points. But yes, I think that this, again, guys, we covered this today because potentially, if this is pursued, I think
huge news.
It's huge news. It's an absolutely huge story, and there's weight behind it that I believe is good, not just for conservatives, but is good for all people in America. Because as America, I mean, we want this to be the land of the free, and part of being free is freedom of speech. And again, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, you should have the right to express your thoughts on platforms like Twitter and Facebook and not be concerned with being fired simply because you don't agree with your employer. I think that's something hopefully we can all agree on. But I do really hope, again, I think it would be poetic justice, honestly, if Gina and Elon are able to work together and go after Lucasfilm, which, again, Kathleen Kennedy made a horrific mistake in firing her because it told basically half the country that Lucasfilm finds their views abhorrent.
Right.
And Lucasfilm has not recovered. And I don't really think they're going to, as long as they have her at the head of the leading the pack, we'll say.
Kathleen flew too close to the sun on that one.
On a lot of them. But thank you, Michael.
I was just going to say, I think that Gina deserves $25 million for this.
Absolutely.
I really do.
That's the number I had even in my own mind. At the very least, they need to be forced to give her $25 million, and an apology statement needs to be released, in my personal opinion. But thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. Why don't you
Yes.
tell the people on the web where they can find you?
Okay. I am at Awaken to Truth with Michael Smith. That is on YouTube. I primarily just do a podcast. So it is on YouTube if you like watching podcasts. But if you just like listening, then it's also on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, all the major outlets.
Yes, definitely check him
Yeah.
out, and we will
Good
have
stuff.
his link in the description below. But thank you everyone for listening. We'd like to hear your thoughts below.
We know you're going to share them.
Yeah, we know you're
already
going to share.
I know you're typing right now. Those
Yeah.
fingers are busy.
Yes, and again, this is, I think, an important story and something we're going to have to keep a watch on and see where this goes. But anyways, if you are not yet subscribed to Forcify Entertainment, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right, bye guys.